Come on, Hilda, you can do it. Sounds like it's saying no, I can't. I think we might be a little bit flooded. God, there. Maybe some bit of brake cleaner. Yeah, nope, nope, nope. Ah. Go on, go on. Come on. Bit of choke, there we go. Yeah! Hilda lives. Still broken though. Hello, I've decided that it's time to bring Hilda back into the game. Been out for a while. In fact, so long, some of you won't even know what this car is. So, very quick rundown. This is a 1973 Hillman Imp Deluxe. Deluxe means poverty spec, pretty much. I don't think it was the lowest spec, but it was one of them. Although that was a long time ago and it's changed quite a bit since then. I know what you're thinking, you're watching this going, that's not a Citroen. Am I watching the right channel? Well, yeah, I do have other cars. This is one of them, although it wouldn't surprise you to learn that it's got a Citroen engine that, well, Peugeot engine really, but yeah, Hilda's a car I've had for a long time, 2016, I think it was it 2016 I got Hilda? And the only real videos that have covered it up till now, there are 2 videos in its playlist, history of like the Hillman Imp, as much as I know about it, which isn't much, but the history of the Hillman Imp kind of, and then that leading into what Hilda is, basically the spec of Hilda. And then there wasn't much for a little while, and then there was a Race to Goodwood series, which was genuinely a race, not at Goodwood, it was a track day, but basically the car was not ready. The car, I'd taken the car apart and there was a busted effort to get it ready for an Imp track day at Goodwood, which it made it to, spoiler alert, and before dying at the beginning of the 5th lap, because, well, look, it's purely speculation. I don't know for sure this is what's caused the problem. The gearbox is having to handle about 3 times the power it used to. And then I ragged it around Goodwood, which is a notoriously fast circuit, pretty much flat out all the way around. I don't have any conclusive proof that that is what has killed the gearbox in this car. I'm just kind of guessing. So Hilda came back from Goodwood and has been here ever since, basically just covered up in the way, in the back of my thoughts. But enough is enough. I have 2 reasons I want to get this car back on the road. Firstly, I've cut a deal with another YouTuber. They were supposed to test this car a long time ago, and before the whole Goodwood thing, and it didn't happen because there were problems, but I want to get it ready for that test. I want to honour that test, and in return I will get to test one of their cars, and that is exciting because that's a car I've always wanted to test, I've always wanted to drive. So that's one reason. The other reason is that from a kind of, say, mental health reason, basically, if I'm feeling a bit buoy, a little bit, this is the thing to make you smile. honestly, this is just, it brings so much joy driving this, just pootling around. So I need to get this on the road. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room is the gearbox. The gearbox is, it does drive, it does move about, but it's not happy. I need to do some research into what actually happened with the gearbox, but very long story short, laps of Goodwood going on, had a helmet on so I couldn't hear anything. I think, looking back at it, it might have been whining, but did a number of laps and then came to start the first lap, went over the start-finish line, having just overtaken a race car, which I was very happy about, before the gearbox pretty much seized going into turn 1, which is well, it's double apex. Is that turn 1 or turn 2? I don't know. Not the way I wanted it to end. Yeah, it basically seized going in. Didn't lock the rear wheels up, like, thankfully. It kind of forced its way round. But yeah, so dipped the clutch and it was still pulling back. And it does now work. As it cooled down, it started to come back to life, but make some horrible noises. So I'm guessing something temperature related has gone wrong with the gearbox. So that will be the big thing that I need to attend to. But in order to do that, I need to put Hilda on there, and there is currently a tomato on it. So I need that ramp to take the engine and gearbox out of this car, so I can take the gearbox out and either take it apart myself and try and figure it out, or just send it to an imp gearbox specialist who can take it apart and figure it out, which might make more sense. But so that's the long term. But there are a couple of issues that have cropped up in the time it's here. One of them is quite annoying, and I'm not going to cover it today. It's electrical. Basically, the battery's dead, which is really annoying because I've kept it charged and disconnected it, and it's still dead. That's not. You'd think that's a simple thing. It is relatively simple, but it's not quite as simple as it could be. The other problem is it's the handbrake isn't on, and it's not in gear. I don't know if you remember one of the episodes. I think it was the last one before. Was it the last one before Goodwood? I can't remember which one it was. Basically, I drove this car out of here like the night before Goodwood, or I think it was the night before or 2 nights before. I took it on a test drive and the brakes seized, and I had to throw my bottle of Pepsi Max lemon? Lime. Did it do a lemon? Lime, green. I think it was lime. They've got the green. Or was it just a standard one? So I was driving along and the brakes seized partially. It was pulling to one side and then pulling the other way, and it was, yeah, it wasn't happy. The pedal was going hard. And I brought it back here in a panic the next day, and I took the calipers off the front, cycled the pistons, checked everything, and it just suddenly started working again. So I was like, okay. And then went round Goodwood. Since then, the problem has returned. So what I'm going to do now is try and, well, make the car roll, because at the moment I have to keep jump starting it because the battery's no good, and that's a pain to move it. I need to be able to just push it, basically. So the first thing I need to do is to figure out why it's not rolling. I have my suspicions. I looked at something earlier on, and I shall show you now what that was. Right, so what I think may have happened, I think I know where to start my investigations, because I was originally assuming that the brakes had seized on the calipers, but the calipers on this car, it's got disc brake conversion. They're off a Mark 1 Fiesta. They were rebuilt not long ago. Well, no, it was quite a long time ago, but they've been kept in good nick and it's not really been used much. So I don't think that's the problem. Now, what I'm actually wondering, as I suspected, look at the state of that. Now, I think this is the brake. Pretty sure that's the brake. I will check because the hoses are down there. So, and I think this is the clutch, which is working perfectly. Bit of a difference. The brake master cylinder is something that I changed not long ago. In fact, the brake master cylinder is that one. that's the clutch, that's the brake. And I have a feeling that the rubbers in it might have perished because modern crap parts, and I'm wondering if the piston in there is jammed. So the easy way of telling that, basically meaning that the brakes aren't seized, the cylinder's seized, so the brakes themselves are permanently on. It's like someone's just stood on the pedal because the piston's wedged. The brake pedal itself is hard, so that to me suggests that there's a problem with the master. So what I'm going to do is jack the front up off the ground and then loosen a bleed nipple, and if I'm right, a load of fluid will suddenly go out of it and I'll be able to turn the wheels again until I push the brake pedal again. And if it does that, then I can either, well, I can carry on and drain the whole system and dig the master cylinder out and have a look at it, or I can just leave it. Depends how we get on, but I want to find out why I can't push it. That is today's job. Right, now if I'm correct, what will happen when I release the bleed nipple here is fluid will squirt out into this without me having anything on the brake. So I'm not touching the brake pedal at the moment. And then after that, I'll be able to rotate the disc. At the moment, I can't rotate the disc. Oh, just about backwards. Wow, it's such a bad design, this, because basically it's only these little things here, these little plate things that hold this to this. So I think, well, I'm less sure than I was, because that doesn't move. That moves okay that way, but the pad's moving inside, look. All right, well, let's find out. So I have released the pressure and it has made no difference. That is annoying. Right, so I've taken the caliper off. It's all a bit... I washed the car today, I threw a sponge over it, so if you see any fluid, it's not brake fluid, well, it shouldn't be. I'm wondering if perhaps this piston's seized in there, but there's marks in there where I had the G-clamp on it last time. So, just wind this out and see how easy this moves back in. But the fact that the master cylinder, the reservoir's got so much crud in it, that's not a good sign. I mean, if this is really reluctant to push back in, then that'll be our answer. But it's not. It's gone straight back in. It's not seized at all. Oh, I'll have to check the other side. But well, no, hang on. No, it's irrelevant what the other side's doing because that wouldn't rotate. That was locked solid, and now it's fine. These are new. Could it be that these are just the wrong size and the caliper's moving, so the pads are binding up? Possibly. I think I need to jack the other side up and see whether that one rotates or not. But I can't for the life of me think why. Well, yeah, I can't for the life of me think why that would not be seized. Releasing the pressure didn't get rid of undoing the bleed nipple, sorry, didn't get the pressure out of the system. So it's like yeah. So the only other thing it can be is the sliding mechanism is jammed. So I've just come around the other side, jack this up, and this one, there's some definite problems with this disc. It's well, yeah, something's not happy with it. So I'm just going to try and pull the pads out on this side as well. So this is such crap design. I mean, the other side wasn't as sprung loaded as that. Nothing wrong with them, is there? I mean, they would have got quite hot the night that it seized up a bit, but well, this is a pain. Let's just try make sure this is moving freely. Should just push. Yeah, no effort at all. So it's not seized. Well, that's inconclusive, isn't it? I mean, it could be any number of things. It could be, it still could be the master cylinder, but I would have expected a sudden like purge of fluid that was under pressure if it was that when I undone the first bleed nipple over there, and it made no difference to whether I could rotate the disc or not. The thing I noticed more was when I tried to rotate the disc, the caliper seemed to be moving on these silly little bush things that it's got, these little sliders. I mean, they really are just, that's a horrible design. I'm just going to go and research something quickly. Right, so it doesn't appear that there is a hydraulic problem with brakes. I was assuming that they were seized on hydraulically because of all the gack in the reservoir there, but it doesn't appear they are. But at the same time, there's nothing conclusively wrong with the calipers. They're not seized. To be completely honest, although it's not a particularly good value thing to do, I'm actually thinking about changing the brakes, because there's the kit that's on these is a kit that people have used in the past, and a lot of people like it and they're perfectly happy with it, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm more inclined to look at something different. So I just did a bit of research, because there's a fella in the imp world who supplies disc brake kits, and it's actually a Nissan micro disc that's used with a Jaguar caliper. You'd think that would be massive, but it's not. And that setup has a proper sliders on it. It has a proper, seals with slider pins, and they're greased, and they like a more modern car rather than those stupid blade things that this has got. So I can't help but think that might be the better way to go. Also, the pads have anti-rattle springs on the top of them built in, and the surface area of the pads is greater than it is on these, so they probably work a little better. These actually worked okay. When I first put these on, I used to say, oh, they're horrible. That's because it had the wrong master cylinder in it. You have to go to a sport spec master cylinder. If you have the normal master cylinder, you just end up with a spongy pedal, and they're horrible. Once I'd done that, they worked okay. They felt okay. I wouldn't say it was amazing on the brakes, but it was good enough. And if those micro conversion kits were around when this was originally put together, I'm sure we'd have had one of those. There was one other thing I was going to do while I'm here, because I haven't achieved as much as I was hoping to achieve there. I've got a light problem. Right, back on the ground. The last thing I do before I go home quickly, try and sort out another problem. Let's see if you can figure out what that problem is. Okay, so at the moment, the lights are off. Agreed? And now, the lights are on. Only, yeah, and the indicator doesn't work either. So I suspect there's some sort of problem with that.
Moments later.
Okay, well, it helps if the light is tight in the body, because there is a screw here and here, and a nut on the other side, a nylock nut now. For security reasons, but yeah, it helps if the if the nut is done up, because the lamp earths through the body of the light. It's quite a tune, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, that's done. I have indicator again. I'm just going to turn this off. There we go. So yeah, well, I'll call that a success. I mean, well, no, it's not a success, is it? Because the brakes are still no good. But the lights are sorted. That was an easy one. And I'll just have to figure out what to do with these calipers. Yeah, wasn't quite as much progress as I was hoping. I was hoping for a good little video there to take the master cylinder out, because it'd be absolutely jammed solid, and then pull the cylinder out of it, the piston out of it rather, and go, oh, look at all that corrosion. Oh, what disaster. Oh, jeopardy. But it's not, because doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it, other than all the crud in that reservoir at the top. If I go for the kit that's available on the IMP group, with the micro discs and the Jaguar calipers, they must be off a mod, like an X-Type or something. They must be like Mondeo ones or something. They're small enough to go on the front of an IMP, but they're off a Jag. So you wouldn't assume there'll be anything off the front of a Jag, but if it was off the back of a Jag, would it not have a handbrake? Unless the handbrake on Jags is inside the disc, like it is on BMWs. Oh well. That might be what I look at doing, because it's just going to improve the car. It's a bit of money, admittedly, but I can sell those because the Fiesta ones are sought after for some reason. And yeah, people seem to like them. I don't really like them at all. I was hoping for something there, but no. So next plan will be to, I mean, as far as the battery goes, it'll just need a new battery, but it's really annoying. And I'll show you why it needs another one of those batteries, not the one, just a normal battery, next time I do a video on it on the inside. But plan is, when old Prof Tom up there, which is a little bit behind, I will do some videos on that soon. I've got a couple more I can do. When that's done, or when that back axle's back on and it's off the ramp, then this can go on the ramp, and I'll pull the engine and gearbox out, and then try and figure out what the hell went wrong with it. So, and then I've got to think about ways, once I've fixed it, of preventing this from happening again. Although, possibly just not driving it around Goodwood would sort that.